Hi, my name is Annamieka, and this is the Art Friends Show, where every conversation focuses on getting to know the essence of creativity itself. I'd love to invite you as well to join me inside of Art Friends School, where we go deeper into these topics and join in with other art friends around the world. Thanks so much for joining us, and let's get to the show. Here's something cool that you're gonna love to know. Hi, my name is Annamieka. I'm an artist in Portland, Oregon, and I do mentoring for other visual artists through my membership called the Art Friends School, as well as working one-on-one privately with other artists. This is day 91 in a row going live to create the Art Friends Show, and today I'm going to talk about the idea of like when you have an idea as an artist and then you see it's already been done, or when you see another artist's work and you're like, ooh, I want to try that. So I want to talk about the many nuances of those two experiences. When you see something and you're like, that's what I wanted to do. I wish I had thought of that, or darn, they're already doing it. Or when you see it and you really want to do it, but then how to grapple with that influence in your work. So this inspiration for the show came up while working with a private client earlier today. She asked me those questions, and so our discussion led to some insight and examples that I thought, hey, it might be helpful to turn around and do a solo show for you about this. So first, I'd like to talk about the idea of multiple discovery. And I'm going to preface it with my basic belief system around creativity is that there is something so much greater than me, than my brain's ability to like filter and perceive and process. I really think that there's like this whole like complete system of a world that I live in as a living, breathing human and working artist, that there are things, there are ideas that are beyond my comprehension. There are obviously a lot of like things that happen automatically in my body and in the world that, you know, I don't have any conscious control over or participation in. And so for me, creativity exists in that realm. Like it's beyond my small, you know, viewpoint as a human. But ideas, to me, it makes sense that ideas come from that realm, that ideas are just neatly in that realm. And then I think that my experience thus far in my life as a creative human being, and I have the medium of art to express it with, is that ideas that come knocking, and as I'm attuning to them, as I do my practices, my journaling, my reflection, my painting, all of that, my talking, the ideas come through and then they get expressed. And sometimes ideas come visit me and I like have no way to express them, and they'll be really persistent until I do. And sometimes I feel like they kind of go away. And I've seen examples of this in other really well-known creatives and throughout history. So to prepare for this show, I just wanted to refresh myself. And there's this concept of multiple discovery. And this happened around the time that Charles Darwin and other researchers were formulating the theory of evolution. And it's this concept that, you know, independently of each other, people will come up with a similar idea. Like their actual essay about the thing might be different, but the core discovery or idea is the same. And interestingly, there's this author, Elizabeth Gilbert, you may have heard her talk about it, because she's kind of in this field especially with her book about creativity called Big Magic. But she gives the example of this idea for a novel that visited her, and it was very compelling. It was about, you know, traveling to South America, and there were several specific details about the story, and she got all hot on it and started. And then she was no longer in service to the idea. She put it aside. And then many years later, she was at a writing conference and she heard an author, Ian Patchett, speak about her new book, which is called State of Wonder, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, I've read it. It's really, I mean, she's an amazing writer, Ian Patchett. And it was the same idea. Like it was to the T the same idea. And so the two authors like compared notes, compared timelines, and realized that this idea had come to them around a similar time. And when Elizabeth was no longer acting upon it, it went and got made through Anne Patchett, which I love that story because I think it really affirms to me that we are, simply in service to these ideas, in service to creativity itself. And when things really want to get made, if they have that type of intelligence of wanting, and it's just, those are the words I have for it at this point, they'll find a way. They'll find a way. And if we're able to make them, great. I think that it ends up being in service to us as well. So another example, also from Elizabeth Gilbert, is when she was interviewing Tom Waits, and he had been, writing songs for a long time, really familiar with this process. And he said one day he was like driving down the highway and this melody came to him. He was like, oh, that's such a good melody, but he was really stressed out because he was driving. And then in that moment, he realized, hey, if you really want to be a song, can you come back at a better time? Can't you see that I'm driving? He kind of like told it off. And then he was like, go bother Leonard Cohen. Like, go get made somewhere else. I love that kind of comical, he's real gruff and grouchy, and I love characters like that. Anyway, so again, this concept that there's like creativity itself and it visits us, and that ideas aren't necessarily like ours. I really feel like all the ideas that I've ever acted on aren't necessarily like, yeah, I've invested my time, my sweat, and my courage and my resources and a lot of that into like making them, but I don't really feel like it's like about me. Even Art Friend has brought this up a lot because I'm really hot on this idea. It's starting to be this like brand for me. The concept of Art Friend to me is like an embodiment of creativity itself, and we like recognize it in each other as art friends. So I'm really rolling with it. But I've had an experience before where I've named something and it came really clearly, creative clarity back in the day. Somebody else already had like a whole thing built around it. So I am filing a trademark for Art Friend, yada yada, because I am a smart, savvy business woman. So that brings me from the idea of multiple discovery and how ideas themselves truly are like beyond personal property. They're like universal property to me. However, in the way we live right now, especially in capitalism and income making and all of that, we have things called copyright laws, right? And so copyright laws essentially, at their essence, respect the fact that intellectual and creative work is property. Okay? And so from that premise, we have these laws to protect like our property. And I have these great friends, colleagues, advocates. They're wonderful people. Betsy Cortez and her husband Chuck Cortez have been amazing educators and advocates in this realm for a lot of us in the niche of being visual artists and self-represented art brands and entrepreneurs. So go check out February 13 Creative. First, they have a whole bunch of blog posts about copyright. And Chuck Cortez is my lawyer, and he does represent a lot of artists. And then Betsy started this thing called the Art Brand Alliance, which is for artists who are, really full-time, self-represented, running a whole business. And it's really about all the business stuff. It's like all the stuff I don't cover as Art Friend. I cover like the creative process and debuting and coming out and that whole thing. And Betsy's created this organization called the Art Brand Alliance. It's really for all these discussions around copyright and business and a million other things that relate to that. So thank you to them, because I did peruse their blog quite a bit to prepare for this episode to refresh myself on copyright. And you can too if you want to learn more. So essentially, copyright says like the work of many other professions is respected as property. Like people create buildings and then they own them and etc. We create intellectual properties. I create artworks. I create online courses and educational programs. I create written pieces. These are all mine under my own copyright protection, or I create trademarks and concepts and things like that. My granddad was a metallurgist, and he has like patents and things about certain things that he created. So all of that is to say that as like artists and creatives, what we're doing is valuable. And so we are able to claim the copyright on what we do. And what that does is it helps us protect our work. It helps us create a legacy so that we can eventually have, this library of works that we've created, whether they're visual artworks or like if musicians create or writers, etc., that you have, and then that's your legacy. You decide how you license it, leverage it, etc., pass it along to your family and such. Now, some things that I see a lot in this niche, and this again could be mini episodes, so I'm just going to touch on it, are when there are copyright infringement cases. And these are really interesting. And there are people that are way more informed about good examples of them. But this is when there's a very obvious use of one artist's intellectual property in making a new work of art. And this is where I actually, I'm not in the realm of like it becoming big legal schmeagle stuff, but I work very privately with artists when they even like see something that inspires them, to ensure that we're having integrity to our own practice all the way through so we don't end up there. And then also, so we're informed when and where it is appropriate to include influences, or when things are in the public domain that are perfectly fine to use and repurpose and, create anew. So I'm not going to go deeply into that right now, because it also touches upon when people who are self-represented and really well known, like we'll see this with like Katie Daisy or my friend Carrie Schmidt, or many other artists. Kelly Ray Roberts has some great writing on her website about how she teaches how to make in her exact style, but how it is so not appropriate to then learn how to do that and then turn around and sell it as your own thing. And I think that's done a great service to a lot of up-and-coming artists and newbies, in really understanding like you got to put in the work to develop your own voice. And so that's what I do inside of my mentoring and inside of the Art Friends School membership, is I offer a lot of support about getting to know our own creative process, our own forms of confidence and doubt, and what makes our work uniquely ours. And I teach best what I need to know because I'm constantly working on stepping ever more fully into my own voice as an artist and educator. Yeah. Okay, so then, so we talked about like the idea of multiple discovery, a bit about copyright and all of that. And then I just wanted to talk about what it's like when you see someone's work that you're like, oh, darn it. Like that's what I thought I wanted to do and they're already doing it. Or when you see someone's work and you're like, oh my God, I want to go try doing that because it looks so fun. Okay. First of all, I want to say that both of those experiences are so natural and they happen all the time. That's kind of what it feels like to be really connected to art, right? It moves you, it touches you, inspires you. And, let's say you've had an idea and it's been knocking at you for a while, and then you're like, oh no, they're already doing it. And I've just been thinking about it. That can be like so painful, right? I'd say in that case, you could consider saying, well, hallelujah. Now I don't have to go learn how to do, I don't know, like detailed portraits of people's eyeballs or whatever it was that you were trying to do. Maybe it liberates you because you're like, okay, that idea already has a steward. It's already being made. Or maybe you're like, okay, cool. Well, since I haven't acted on it, somebody else has. Maybe you still act on it, but then you just really pay attention to making multiples of it or continuing to learn so that your version of it evolves in a different direction. And it almost always does. Because here's the thing. Most of us have a really unique combination of like our actual skills, what we're actually able to render as drawing or painting or sculpting or whatever you use to create. Like our actual skills will inform our work. It's almost like handwriting, right? Like my wonky flowers or the way that I like quickly sketch self-portraits. Those are going to be different from anybody else because of the way that just my hands move and my eyes see and the skills I've practiced my whole life or not, if it's new. So your skill set is going to set you apart whether you like it or not because of just like your ability to render the thing. So kind of have some faith in that if you do want to try something that's already been done. But obviously like try it, but don't like then go sell it if it still looks very derivative and inspired by somebody else's work. Yeah? On a similar vein to that, when you see someone's work and you're like, oh, like this is a common thing with drippies in Kelly Rae's work. Like she teaches how to make these lovely dripping marks, and then I see them all over the mixed media world, Floriboli as well. Now, I love me some drippies, and that's fine. That's like nobody has copyrighted drippies. However, if you see them and you're like, ooh, I want to try that because it looks really fun. Great. Make them. And then as an art mentor, I may, if you ever came to me with your work, I may ask you like, how does that, express your truth, and does it make sense for your work? And if so, are we going to leave it right as it is? Do we want to do it in some sort of different way that starts to distinguish you, etc., etc.? You don't have to overthink every single thing. But when you see something being done in someone else's work and we're like, ooh, I want to try that. Like, let's let ourselves try it, because curiosity itself is what leads this whole thing forward. And I really have been served by the idea of like letting myself want what I want and as much as I can, and seeing where that leads me, that desire, and then make it, and then like keep going, right? Keep going. A lot of my friends right now are doing cut out plywood and then painting their imagery on it. And I'm like, oh my God, I really want to do that. But I'm also like, oh, but they're already doing it, so there's that constant thing in this community where of course we're going to see each other innovating. We're going to be inspired to try things. Let's just keep going so that we are really in service to creativity and not necessarily making derivative work. Now, as closing, I want to talk about a couple of things that kind of relate to that. One is when you do start to step into your own unique voice, the party gets even better. And I'll return to that in a second. The other one is like, and this came to me today while I was talking to a client, so I haven't fully fleshed this out. I may like think about it more and have better examples. But if we think about most of human history, back in the realm of like ideas and multiple discovery and how like ideas want to get discovered and they come through people and then they're shared and they help our whole culture evolve. Think about art in that way. For most of human history, like if we think about more traditional arts and crafts per se, if I discovered how to weave a better basket, I would then turn around and teach like many of the people in my community that new weaving technique, right? Or if I discovered like how to create a better apparatus for trapping fish or food, that creativity and that innovation, I would then turn around and share it. Like, I think that is our nature. This is a very like simplified example, but if I think about artists and crafting and like creating in this very kind of studio arts way for so many eons as human beings, we have freely created and shared and created and shared. In our current moment in our culture, in Western civilization, and we're still kind of like playing out the roots of like the Western European art bros who are all about like the elitism and you know, the hierarchy of like oil painting and sculpture above drawing and blah, 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 and then like fibers and blah, or women's, you know, we have all this like baggage from Western Europe, and it gave us a lot as well. But we're here, we're in capitalism, we're in late capitalism. Anywho, we currently claim property, like we claim property that's like a really big deal, and then we turn it into money and we do this whole exchange and da 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 da, and we all agree like some of it is completely effed. So we're at a place with ideas where it is important to have unique ideas and to have some kind of ownership and protection of property in order to make a living and in order to honor artists and intellectuals and creatives as like real professionals who are making valuable things that then they can like leverage forever. Now that is fraught. It's really fraught. I cannot wait to interview my friend who works in like the university and teaches about copyright, because I think it's fascinating to actually like pick that all apart. This is not necessarily working very well. However, I do want to say that, yeah, I think kind of our human nature is actually to just act on creative ideas and then share them. That's kind of my vibe with Art Friend. But as a savvy businesswoman in 2023, I am freaking protecting my intellectual property, and I am charging money for it, and I am feeding my kid, and I am, you know, taking care of things. Like that is part of the reality of being an artist right now. And I'm also really giving and sharing, and there's a lot of exchange. Yeah. And I will just end this whole riff with my firm belief or invitation per se, that because I work with a lot of emerging artists, and I still identify as an emerging artist. I've been out here as an art lady about town for over a decade in Portland. Been teaching art to adults for 20 years. I don't know, I think I'll arrive at feeling established when I don't know, when I haven't defined that yet. So anyway, I work with a lot of emerging artists, right? I am one of the most welcoming people. I'll be like, come join the party. We want you here. We want your voice. I cannot wait to meet you. I cannot wait to introduce you to people, to have you step more powerfully into your light. Like, bring it. We want to see it. We want to dance. We want to play. And if you think about it that way, the party gets so much more fun when you are making something that is truly you. It gets way more fun for everyone, right? It just does. Like, you're more fully self-expressed and rad and awesome, and we can really see you and enjoy you, and like, you're contributing your cool thing, you know, whether you watercolor or write or sing or oil paint or dance, whatever it is that you're doing in your creative process, you're bringing that. Like, if this party metaphor, if you want to follow me into a potluck to really be Portland, it's just boring if everyone brings popcorn with flowers on it. Like, that would be a really crummy potluck if everyone brought the same dish. Similarly, as a professional working artist, I am the most interested in what is true to you in your self-expression. And I cannot wait for my own, like, I'm having the breakthrough now in the Art Friend show, that this is something that's really true to me. It's a unique way I can contribute to the community and literally use my voice, which is like now giving out on me, so I have to finish this episode. But use my voice to like broaden our horizons per se, or bring a new element to the party. And so with every emerging artist that I work with, I'm just really wanting to encourage you to keep going. If you currently worry about the influence of other artists or teachers in your work, or you're really inspired by something and you kind of want to try it, I'd say try it. Trust that desire, but don't kid yourself when it's not yours yet, right? Don't shame yourself into a corner and never create again. Like, my whole commitment is that we as fellow artists, as a community, help each other stay in motion creatively. That is the work. That is the work, like making the work, walking through doubt, continuing on. So if you're currently trying to shake the influence, I'm still trying to shake the influence of some teachers and like keep moving deeper and deeper into my own true thing. Know that it is kind of part of that lifelong work. We really want your unique voice at the party. Keep going. Phone a friend, ask the audience, join my Art Friend School membership if you need encouragement and you want some eyes on your work. No one else can really tell you, even me, like that's what people hire me to do, but it's not up to me to be like, now you have permission to sell it. Now it is yours enough, blah, blah, blah. I'm really good at helping you talk that through and sort that out and come to your own conclusions. But yeah, know that it happens to all of us. We get excited by other ideas. We get jealous. We get influenced. And so that's part of the process. But if you see it a lot in your work right now, just keep going. Keep creating. Lean into what's uniquely yours. Don't be afraid to share it and show it and ask for feedback, loving feedback. And yeah, that's kind of my take on that question of what do we do when we get inspired by other people's work or we see that something's already been done that we wanted to do. And I just wanted to really consider it from the perspective of the multiple discovery or the way I view the realm of ideas and how we're really in service to creativity itself. The idea of copyright and what the point of it is and how it really serves artists and intellectuals and creatives. And then finally, like that common experience that we all have of influence and why it's just more fun when every artist is really stepping into themselves and bringing that potluck item and that fully self-expressed rad self to the party. It's way more fun. You're making more for all of us. So, all right, that's today's episode. Let me know if you liked it, share it, give me your own ideas to contribute to this conversation. And once again, if you want to go deeper into this stuff, join the Art Friend School membership. Love to see you in there. And thanks for watching the Art Friend Show. It's day 91. We're going to get all the way to 100. Then I'll let you know what's next. Bye. I'd love to have you inside of Art Friend School, where we go deeper into these topics. Follow the link that's in the show notes or find it on my website at annamieka.com.